With the transition in broadcast towards an IP infrastructure with ST2110, NMOS, SDI, SRT, for example, many broadcasters are taking the leap to an all IP facility, and choosing a control system is probably one of the most important decisions they're going to make.
Yeah, and everyone has signals that need to be routed and switched, whether it is a production facility, a playout centre, regional broadcast station or an OB truck. In the world of SDI, there are lots of options to help you do this. But for IP environments, connection and device management becomes a whole lot more complex. So please welcome in Alison Pavitt from Pebble, who we understand has a solution helping broadcasters transition to IP.
Hi, welcome to the show, Alison. Now, you've launched Pebble Control, which we actually featured on KitPlus News last week. Tell us a little bit about that and the problem it's solving.
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, we saw a need really for a broadcast controller which would really enable you to make the leap into an all IP facility without the need to deploy a bespoke enterprise solution and get caught up in all the configuration and consultation and potentially huge expense that might involve. So at the moment, perhaps some of the larger companies who are going to an all IP environment are deploying enterprise bespoke broadcast controller and network controllers. But we saw a gap for something a little bit lower down the market that would be configurable for people who perhaps are just trying something in, a small IP island as a test site, or in a small OB truck and so on. So we launched Pebble Control as a self-contained, scalable and easy to configure IP connection manager. And here at Pebble, we're all about interoperability. And so Pebble Control is built around the NMOS suite of open standards, and with a commitment to keep complying to all those new standards as they are released.
So you say, hang on. Who are you aiming at? Is it a smaller company?
Well, to be honest, I use smaller company because I know that some of the smaller companies are finding the lack of this kind of a tool a barrier to entry to IP. Yes. But of course, the system is scalable. So, every broadcast engineer and content producer needs to connect equipment. So, it could be a production facility of any scale. It could be a playout centre. Could be a regional broadcast station, a small OB truck. Signals need to be routed and switched around any setting. So really, the key to this is scalable and with an affordable entry point.
So Alison, Pebble's been around for years, and to some it might seem as if you're going to a field that's somewhat away from your known expertise.
Yeah, great question. Obviously, I'm going to have to disagree with it because, Pebble's been an automation company. That's how we were founded 21 years ago. So celebrating an anniversary this year, P1. And obviously in an industry that changes rapidly, we need to change as well. So the automation 21 years ago would have been all about controlling VTRs and cart machines and routers. And over time, it has evolved into controlling network devices, which is, of course, exactly what Pebble Control is. So I think it's actually not as far away from our core business as you might think on first sight.
And is Pebble available now? How do you do it? Is it a download? How do I get my hands on it to give it a go?
It's a software product. It's not really a download, but absolutely it's available now, and we're encouraging people to get in touch with it, try it out. Actually, I know it's a big investment, or it's potentially a big decision, to choose what's going to be managed connections in an IP environment. So we're very keen for people to talk to us and have a trial of the system and just see how it can help them.
As you touched on there, this is going to form the heart of any broadcaster system, isn't there? So what are the sort of considerations that your newer customers are going through before they actually choose something like Pebble Control?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to consider in the world of IP if you're connecting devices. So, if you were to put, for example, in the world of SDI, you could just run a coax cable from, let's say, a playout server to a router, and everything would work. In the world of IP, it's a lot more complicated. If you connect a playout server to the network, it's just sitting there on the network. You have to then tell everybody that it's there. You have to tell it what everything else is. There's a lot more that can potentially go wrong, and of course, you have to manage your IP addresses. There's the very real potential of setting up conflicts in IP addresses, and the potential, the risk of doing that is really very high. So what we're offering is a solution which can manage that for you and reduce that risk.
And is it very much a self-setup thing? You're going to hold your hand just a little bit, but is it a easy setup, or is it quite an involved process? Does it
It
need
depends
you
on the
up?
scale. I mean, it is simple to set up. That's first principles is it's got to be simple to deploy. Obviously, the more connections you're trying to make, and we can literally be talking hundreds of thousands here, can't we? Then the more time it's taken, the more complex it can be. But we do have a container system. So, for example, if you've got multiple devices that you believe all belong together in a particular configuration, and they can be set up as a container. So you're simply connecting that container rather than each individual input-output device. So that certainly rationalises that whole process.
And is Pebble Control sold as a software as a service, or is it on a subscription basis, or is it an outright purchase for?
Not at present, it's an outright purchase, but we're certainly open to conversations about that.
And I know there's been a lot of change at Pebble over the last couple of years. Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, there has and there hasn't. I mean, certainly the most obvious change is probably the rebrand, which we did last year, mid-pandemic, just because life wasn't exciting enough. So we've already said that the company is 21 years old, and it really was time for a change of image just to more accurately represent who we are today. A key part of the rebrand was actually establishing the tagline, which is discovering, designing, delivering. So we're much more than the technology we sell. We're all about the people, the process, and the technology. So we will work with the customer to discover what it is that they want and explore, what best solutions might fit that, design that solution, then of course work to deliver that on an ongoing basis for the lifetime of the product, to stay supporting that product. So it's much more of a consultative approach rather than just, for example, box shifting. That's not who we are. And we really felt that the image was there to reflect that. But as I said, that's a change. But in lots of ways, we haven't changed. For example, last year there was no furlough, no redundancies, no layoffs. We still were taking channels to air. I think we well over 230 channels to air last year. We've completed well over 70 projects. So it was to a certain extent, or as far as it could be, business as usual. So no change from that perspective.
Yeah, it was a busy year, I'm sure. And you launched, can we get this right, was it Oceans last year?
Yeah, so Oceans is...
Yeah,
it's a technology platform. So it's our next generation service-oriented technology platform. What you can't do at the moment is basically buy an Oceans. It was an announcement that was made to talk about, to sort of set the tone for a new design, a new platform that we launched, upon which we will be now adding functional services, and the rollout of the first two of those is going to be this year. So hopefully I'll perhaps be speaking to you again later on to talk about what those are in months to come. But the platform itself, really, we've done all this almost like the non-glamorous work already, to design that platform with the key principles at its heart, which are to help broadcasters and media companies transition to IP, to bring, of course, our extensive user base along with us as we develop this new platform, to offer agile and reactive technology, and to easily support new technology that comes along, simple updates, smooth and unobtrusive updates, I should say, and robust security and logging. Like I say, all the unglamorous stuff, but that really, really matters.
It does count, yeah.
It does.
So aside from the Ocean updates, Alison, can you give us any other preview insights into what Pebble might be releasing over the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, I think for now, obviously we're doing a lot of work on the Oceans platform and on those first two functional services. And Pebble Control is only just hit the market, really. So we launched it, I think, just about 2 weeks ago, our webinars were. And, there's we've got really exciting plans for that product, and its functionality will be increasing and enhancing as the months go by. And we've got quite ambitious plans to bring that on even beyond its launch configuration as the year progresses. So, yeah, watch this space.
Absolutely.
You say you've done some webinars. Are they available for people to watch on demand now? Are they still available?
They are actually, yes. I can. If you visit our website, then you'll find all the materials on Pebble Control anyway, and I will make sure that the webinar links are on there, and perhaps we can share that through the platform as well.
Thanks, Alison. Yeah, we'll certainly put links to those webinars in the description of the video with your website as well, of course. Thanks also to Mediaproxy for their support of KitPlus TV. You can find out about them at mediaproxy.com. And of course, don't forget to check out our podcast. We'll see you next time.